So my name is Adina G, and I've been listening to music my entire life also. However, at a very young age, I realized that R. Kelly, Ice Spice, or whatever that is, it's really easy to listen to the music of other people and feel like it dictates the direction of our life. But today, I want to talk to you about how the best way to predict your life is to create it yourself. I have been writing music since I was 4 years old. I know, that I get that reaction a lot. But one of the reasons why is because I have found that from the age of 4, we all go through life changes. And for me personally, one of the things that I have always found to be very powerful and effective for how I want to navigate my life is by channeling my challenges, my struggles, my trauma, all through the lens of writing my own music. When I was a lot younger than you guys, I wrote my first song for a school assignment. Can I sing it to you? Yes. Yeah. You can sing along with me because I have the lyrics behind me. Aren't you speaking to me through a microphone, wondering what I'm doing all alone? Well, I'm ready to face you. Here I stand. You can bleed me till I'm crying, but words I won't remain. Thank you. I am sure you've heard this multiple times from your teachers, from your parents, from your families. Our words matter. But it's not so much necessarily what words we tell to other people. The most powerful words that we can use are the words that we use on ourselves. The words that we tell ourselves on a day-to-day basis. Now, you can be singing Kanye West lyrics until you're blue in the face, but if you are continuing to perpetuate potentially negative words to yourself, that could potentially mean that you're creating a not so positive life for yourself. Because at the end of the day, the best way to predict the future, your future, is to create your future for yourself. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am from a small town in a country called New Zealand. Does anybody know where that is? Yes? They're like, it's that way, yes. Okay, so if you've seen Lord of the Rings, that's my country. If you know who Lord is, that's my country. If you've seen Flight of the Conchords, that is my country. But my mother is from Pennsylvania, Erie, Pennsylvania, and my father was from Fiji, where the water is from. Growing up in New Zealand, however, with an American mother and a Fijian father, was a little bit different because I was born with a relatively rare neurological condition called hydrocephalus. Now, does anybody here know much about the brain? Kind of a little bit? Yes, awesome. So our brains float in water, otherwise known as cerebral spinal fluid, or CSF for short. That water changes by between 400 and 600 milliliters a day, so the water gets into your head and then drains down your spinal column. This happens to every single one of you in here. But for me, I have a cyst the size of my fist in the middle of my head, which means that water can get into my head, but it can't get out. So when I was 4 months old, I had my first brain surgery. By the time I was your age, I'd had 10 brain surgeries and 24 surgeries in total. What this meant was that at the age of 4 months, a shunt, or a really long tube, was inserted into my head to drain the water down my spinal column. This meant, again, that I had had 10 brain surgeries by the time I was your age. It meant that I was spending weeks away from school to the point where my grades started slipping. I got brain damage. super fun. And I also was isolated because I was in hospital. Now, you guys have gone through school in the last couple of years, right? Through the pandemic. Who here was attending classes online? So you're familiar with the isolation stuff, right? It's not fun. How this manifested for me personally was it meant that I actually discovered the black dog, which is how we refer to depression in New Zealand. Add to that now as an adult, not only have I had to contend with 10 brain surgeries, 24 surgeries in total, but also a whole bunch of other traumas, including moving country, having to grow up between two different countries, between New Zealand and Fiji, having my family live here in the States, having to deal with the political upheaval of the last few years in particular, learning about the divisiveness of power imbalances when it comes to equity, and also about just learning how to step into my own power. So I've always turned to songwriting and music. Music has been the best way for me to figure out how to choose my own destiny and create the life that I want to lead for myself. So what I want to talk to you guys today about, this is why I shouldn't do PowerPoints. As part of this whole journey, I have learned how to channel my trauma through, again, learning about how to connect with my mother, how to express my pain of not living with my father, how to deal with stress. Who here gets stressed? Really? Only like 5 of you? Come on. Learning about how to deal with my own body image issues. But trauma looks different in everybody. For some of you, trauma might look like stubbing your toe. For others, it might look like your parents divorcing. For others, it might look like getting a bad grade. For others, it can be a lot more serious. But we all wear trauma differently, and therefore we can all make through trauma differently. So what I want to talk to you about today are 3 of the life lessons that I've been able to use to turn my lessons into blessings, to turn my mess into a message, and to turn my struggles into song. The way that I've done this is by writing songs about recognizing your inner superhero. I've written a song about my learnings when it comes to the strength of diversity and community. And of course, the age-old tale of the 2 wolves that live inside of us at all times. And we'll talk about more about that later. So first off, who here likes superheroes? You like Spider-Man? That's a superhero. Okay, cool. Loud and proud, come on. Who likes superheroes? Who doesn't like superheroes? To me, being a superhero is not just about being Spider-Man or Captain America or Storm. It's about recognizing that we each have superpowers in all of us. So I want to share a little bit about how I've managed to turn my learnings about living in this country, particularly, into recognizing the superhero that lives in every single one of you. What are some superpowers that you think everyday humans like you and me might have? What does a superpower look like? What is a superpower? Power? What kind of power? Flying, okay. Yes. Sorry? Lasers? Awesome. Yes, sir? Super speed. Does anybody here run? Cool. What other superpowers do you guys have? Yes, ma'am. Invisibility? Okay. Lasers? For me, the superpowers that I've always resonated with when it comes to being an everyday human is our ability to communicate, our ability to be loud and proud and unapologetic about who we are, our ability to love one another, to be compassionate towards one another, to be empathetic towards one another. So I wrote a song about it. Can I sing it to you? wish away the pain. I would, if I could, win it all away. I would. I'd be the voice of passion in a world so cold. I'd bend over backwards and change this mold. 'Cause inside this madness we rise. Inside this madness we fight. When the angels open their eyes, how their hearts break to realize all of the mistakes we made. What a prize! Where's our superhero tonight? Thank you, free from this pain. I would hold on so tightly if I could be your superhero. Yeah, when the angels open their eyes, how their hearts break to realize all of the mistakes we made. What a prize! Where's our superhero tonight? When the angels open their eyes, how their hearts break to realize all of the mistakes we made. What a prize! Where's our superhero tonight? Thank you very much. So when we go back to that thinking about how I was feeling isolated, bullied, and depressed when I was your age, I learned to channel that, choose my own adventure, choose my own life, choose the direction of my song and my life through songwriting by recognizing that in a world that is constantly telling me who to be and how to act and how to show up and how to behave, I wanted to change that narrative in myself, recognizing that I have superpowers of love, compassion, and empathy. Well, I wasn't alone as it turned out, because one of the other superpowers that I think you guys can all understand about is the power of community. We have the, what's his name? The Marvel characters, right? We have the, sorry? We have the X-Men. We have DC Comics world. Every single one of the superheroes that we look at on a day-to-day basis exist and are made stronger and made better by the power of community. Your friends. How are you choosing your friends? How are you choosing to show up together and support one another? I see you guys are friends, that's exciting. Okay. So, as you are going through your life and making your choices and choosing what life you want to lead, it's important for us to look at how we grow together. And again, I wrote a song about that. Have I done enough? Do I make it up? I know I've read about this for so long. Am I good enough to carry on an empty page without a break? Though I know it's what I need to do, can I bear myself and live my truth? I read line after line. If I'm here with this story of mine, I feel it beat in my heart, coursing through my veins. The magic I fear is living to rise again, breaking the walls that built in our minds. The magic of love is to give me rise. Thank you. So what do you think the moral of that song told me? What was the power of that song for my life and for your life maybe as well? I can see everybody hugging each other, so that's a good thing. The power of community is really important. Ensuring that who you spend your time with dictates who you are to become. There's a saying, and it's not a very nice saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you walk into a room and you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You want to make sure that who you surround yourself with makes you a better person, develops you into a stronger, better, more intelligent human being. Make sense? And my last song that I want to share with you. There is an old Native American tale of two wolves, where a grandfather is talking to his grandson about the two wolves that are consistently fighting inside of us at all times. Now, one of the wolves is the wolf of jealousy, the wolf of fear, the wolf of judgment, the wolf of negativity, the wolf of sadness, bigotry, hate, hurt. And then the second wolf is the wolf of love, compassion, empathy, positivity, hope, trust, happiness. Now these two wolves are constantly fighting inside of each and every one of us. Sometimes it feels impossible to know which one to feed. Have you guys ever struggled or had a bad day? We all have. And sometimes it's really easy to fall into that trap of letting ourselves be in a negative space. But in the 34 years of my existence, as I've learned to navigate what these two wolves are like and act like and show up for when it comes to how I live my life, it's been important for me to recognize that actually I have more control than I like to think sometimes. And you do too. Because if those two wolves are consistently arguing with one another, consistently fighting, consistently having a negative impact on our lives, the wolf that wins is the one that you decide to feed. How do we choose to feed the positive wolf? Any ideas? For me, it looks like lifting some weights. For me, it looks like going for a walk in nature, having ice cream, listening to music, having a dance party, going out with my friends. What are some positive things that you guys like to do for yourselves? Nothing? Sorry? Whatever it is you decide to do, I want you to go forward for the rest of your week, month, year, and recognize that no matter what life throws at you, with those two wolves consistently fighting inside of you, you have the ability to choose your own narrative, to choose the direction of your life, to feed the wolf of love. The wolf of happiness. The wolf of control, and being the best version of yourselves. And to remind myself, I like to sing this song. to forgive myself and leave my fears behind, taking back my life, my peace of mind, to build a better new. We gotta tear down these walls. The only way is through, and now we're leading from the heart. Even darkness starts with me, then I will do things differently. It's about the wolf I feed. Now, you guys have gone through an insane amount of stress over the last few years. I am not going to pretend like I can even begin to understand that, and that's okay. That, I think, if we go back to the superheroes that you guys all are, remembering that Spider-Man only became Spider-Man because he got bit by a spider. Batman only became Batman because he lost his parents. Superman only became Superman because he got flown here from Krypton on a ship by himself. Adversity makes superpowers. Adversity makes superheroes. It's about you guys choosing to look at those adversities as how you can turn those into powerful moments for you to create your life, your strength, you growing up into the biggest, dopest, baddest people that you want to be. For yourselves, for your families, for your teachers, for your education, for the lives you want to lead for yourself. Which wolf are you going to feed? Thank you. For me, like I said, I have been through the ringer. I had my first brain surgery when I was 4 months old. I developed brain damage when I was your guys' age. I was the only person of color in my school. And for those of you who are also people of color, you may recognize what that might mean. I was the female lead singer of a hard rock band for 5.5 years. And then I moved here and immediately got typecast as a black woman, so I got typecast as a hip-hop artist. It's been a weird life in my 34 years of existence, and sometimes you guys might feel that your life is a little bit weird too. But what I've always sort of led with is the ability to take that weird and turn it into my own superpower. Turn that into my own strength. Take the adversity and create a life that I want to lead, recognizing that strength comes from hardness. Diamonds are made from pressure. You have far more control over how you want to lead your life than you may even realize. Choose your friends wisely. Choose your community wisely. Write your song wisely. It's about the